Hi students, this online lesson is about situational writing and I will be teaching you how to write a proper situational writing piece based on the most recent situational writing task that I gave you, which was situational writing number 1. The focus of this online lesson will be how to elaborate using given points. That will be my main focus. I'll also be talking a lot about how to write proper sentences and a little bit about the tone, how to achieve the informal tone in a letter. And lastly, I will give you some tips and some things that you need to be wary about, need to be careful with, okay, when you are writing this section, okay, in paper 1 English. Right. Let's take a look at the task. I believe most of you have read this and have attempted it. Okay, you're advised to write between 200 and 250 words. I don't recommend students to write a very long situational writing piece. Um, Aim for 250, okay. Try not to go beyond 300 because you still need to leave some time for continuous writing and grammar editing. So it's about time management. So under exam conditions, just try not to spend too much time on one segment and neglect the others. Okay, coming back to this task. Basically, you have to write a letter and you are writing it to a friend, so that's why this is an informal letter. What is the content of this letter about? It's about your recent school trip to Lisbon, which is I assume a city in Portugal. Okay. Now, in secondary school, situational writing always comes with a kind of a visual stimulus. Over here, it is a diary, all right? A diary, okay, with pictures, all right? So, assuming, the task, to do this task, you assume the role of a student who took photos and and wrote notes about these photos. Now you have to, one of the things that I want you to take note of is you need to understand what this stimulus is about. This is just a student's notes taken from a notebook, which means all these sentences may not be written in the proper form. In fact, all these are fragments, okay? They are not proper sentences. And when I marked your work, I saw some of you, you just directly copied, okay? So not only your content suffer because you did not make any change, you did not rephrase anything, you did not add your own ideas. You also, on top of that, you also committed the error of writing fragments, okay? Because all these sentences they are not complete sentences. These are based on the task, okay? Based on the task, you decide to look at your diary and recall what you saw based on letter on the photographs and your brief notes. These are brief notes, not proper sentences, okay? Not written. Usually when you write notes, you don't write them in proper sentences, okay? So have to be really careful, okay? Put on your thinking cap. Don't just write anything that comes to your mind. You have to think. Okay, you have 5 given points that you must include. You should not leave out any single one of them. And you should try to make it quite clear that you're addressing all these points to the examiner. Okay, they should not be difficult to find. They may or may not be in this kind of order, but for this particular letter, I think it makes sense to follow the order given by the task, but it's not compulsory all the time to follow. Okay, so you know when you are a writer now, so you have to think for yourself what is best. Should I follow the order? But no matter what you do, you make sure that it is quite obvious to the examiner that you have addressed each and every single one of these points adequately. Okay, enough. There must be enough attention given to each and every point. All right. Now write your letter in clear, accurate English as usual, in a persuasive tone, informing your friend of your experiences in Lisbon. So why is it that we need to tell you clear, accurate English? Because some students thought that I'm just writing a letter to my friend, I can afford to write Singlish. No, 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 this is exam style writing. So I know in real life you may want to do that, but this is exam style writing. We want to see clear, accurate English. So please bear that in mind and follow instructions, okay? You may add any other details that might be of interest. All right, so your details, the quality of your details will determine to a large extent your task fulfillment score, okay? And you should use your words as much as possible. Try not to copy too much, especially the phrases. Try to write them in your own way, your own special style, okay? So this is just the task, okay? I want to go straight into the writing part. So I'm going to start a new document here, okay? I'm going to write in front of you. Now, I have not prepared this. So this is impromptu writing. I'm going to sort of write live in front of you, okay? Live. Okay, this is live. All right, I have not prepared anything. I'm not copying from my notes or anything. So I'm going to show you my thinking process. You should look out for my thinking process, and you should look out for all the things that I am looking out for when I'm writing. Okay, so my teacher has given me this task. Now I have got to go back and read it again. And then I know that I'm writing a letter. So what is the format of a letter? You need the address. Okay, so write some kind of a Singapore address. Okay, if you want to write your own address, that is perfectly fine. But for me today, I'm going to fake an address, but I'm going to make it look like a real Singapore address. Okay, so how do I do that? Okay, I start with some kind of a block number. Maybe I'll choose the number 45. Okay, and then I will choose a road name. Okay, it can be any kind of road. Can be a real road in Singapore. Okay, you can write Tampines Road if you want to. Nobody's gonna fault you for all these things. All right, so I'm just gonna make it up. Okay, maybe I'm just gonna write a Happy Road. Okay, and I'm just gonna write Singapore. Okay, 3456045. Okay, so you need three things: block number, road name, and also Singapore with a postal code. Okay. Oops, you need 6 digits. Okay, I extra digit there. Okay, 6 digit. All right, then that's it. Leave a line. Write the date. How should you write the date? Okay, let's see. Today is 25th of April for me. Okay, so I'm just gonna write 25 April 2015. Is it necessary to write the TH? Not really. Okay, not really. If you want, that's fine, but make sure it looks like a superscript like what I have here on my document right now. If not, if you're confused, because you know what, if the date that you're writing, okay, is it ends with 1, then you have to write 21st. Okay, that means you have to write it this way. Okay, if it ends with 2, then you have to write like this 22nd. If you think this is too confusing, then just leave it. Okay, just like that. It's perfect. It is standard time, a date format already. It's quite standard already, so this is fine. And then we need to carry on with dear so and so. Okay, who is this person? Okay, let's take a look back at our task. Now over here, you need to ask yourself, is there a name given? Now sometimes in the task they will tell you are writing to your friend Jack, Jason, whoever. Okay, now but in our task, the name of the friend is not given, so you can assume, you can invent any name. And this friend of yours is a primary school friend, so I assume it's of a similar age. Okay, you should try to think about your audience. Who is your audience? Your audience is this boy or girl used to be your classmate in primary school. Okay, now you're writing a letter to this person, most likely because you're no longer in the same school. Because if you're in the same school, you most likely can talk to each other in school, right? But you're writing a letter most probably because you don't see each other that often. That's why. All right, but this is a person who is about the same age as you. Okay, so you have to think about your audience as you're writing. Okay, so you're writing to another kid lah, because you're also a Sec 1 kid writing to another kid. Alright, dear so and so. Now this is your friend. Invent a name if you want to, or write your friend's name. Write any name. So I assume my friend is called Tina. So dear Tina, leave a line, start writing. Now when you're writing a letter, usually you start off with how are you? Okay, I recommend keeping the greeting part short, because it's not the main focus of your content. Okay, you should try to leave more time, spend more effort thinking about the main content that the task requires, okay? Instead of writing a very long greeting, okay? It's okay to just go with how are you? Okay, if you want one more question, or one more sentence, I hope you are coping well in secondary school, okay? Right, because since both of you are Sec 1 students, most likely, okay? It's not stated in the task, but you can assume because it makes logical sense. Okay, over here, okay, next. Now, you can just go straight into telling your friend about the purpose of the letter, okay? I'm writing to you to tell you more. Okay, I'll tell you about. You see, I'm doing live writing here, so I will be making corrections on the spot. All right, so I want to show you that teachers, we are not. It's not like we don't make mistakes at all. We do make mistakes. Okay, I think a good writer is a writer who knows how to correct his or her own mistakes, not a writer who doesn't make mistakes at all. Okay, I'm writing to tell to tell you about my recent school trip to Lisbon, a city in Portugal. Okay, now guys, you don't have to mention Portugal for the rest of the letter. When I mark your work, every time you mention Lisbon, you always write Lisbon, Portugal. Okay, your friend got it the first time round. You said so when you explain Lisbon is a city in Portugal, he or she already got it. Okay, Tina already knows. There's no need to keep talking about Lisbon, Portugal, Lisbon, Portugal. Just call it Lisbon from now on. Okay, imagine how weird it is when I tell you that I will meet you at Tampines, Singapore. You know Tampines is in Singapore, right? Okay, carry on. When and why. Okay, so now I've gotten the introduction done. So now I'll go straight into addressing each content point given to me. When and why. Okay, I need to talk about when. This is not a very difficult point to address. I just need to say when, but some of you just completely ignored it. Okay, please do not ignore anything from the task. Make sure you address everything. Okay, so over here, I think it makes sense if I were to talk about the when in the first paragraph. So I'm just going to carry on by saying that together with my schoolmates, okay, I went on the trip during the June holiday. Okay, I think that's perfectly fine. Okay, or maybe I'll change it. During the June holidays, okay, you can say classmates or schoolmates, doesn't matter. My classmate and I went on a traveled to Lisbon for a cultural exchange program. So I addressed the point about when. So it was during the June holidays. Okay, but I think it doesn't make sense now because I'm writing in April, so maybe I would change it to March. Okay, class, you see, it's okay to change. Okay, that's why I always recommend that when you're writing on your writing paper, always leave a line so that you always have a space to correct yourself. Okay, so during the March holidays, my classmates and I traveled to Lisbon for a cultural exchange program. In this sentence sounds okay, sounds nice. Carry on. Oh, okay, and I also explain why, right? So I explained the when and why in one sentence. It's perfectly fine. This part addresses the when, this part addresses the why, and I'm ready to move on. How many words do I have up till now? Now, when you count the number of words, you don't count all this address and all these things. How do I see how many words I have? Let me try to count. Word count, maybe? Yes, here. 46. Okay, so over here I have 46 words already. Okay, that's about 20% done. Very fast. Okay, next paragraph, quickly go straight to the point. What the group did there. Okay, now this is the tricky part, because if I'm not careful, I might end up copying this whole chunk without using my own words as much as possible. Then that would mean that I will score lower for both, for language and perhaps even for task fulfillment, because for the lack of details and elaboration. Okay, so take a look. Now, okay, it's quite challenging because there are 4 different places to talk about, yet I have to use my own words. I can't copy too much, and at the same time I need to include other things. So over here, the first one, we wrote poems as we sat by the beach. We enjoyed the sound of waves, the breeze, and we watched the seagulls flying. I'm going to attempt to write this in one sentence first. Okay. Where is it? Okay. I'm just going to start with the first stop was a beautiful beach. Okay. This was our first stop. Alright. So what did we do? We wrote poems as we sat by the beach. I'm thinking, how can I write this without copying? Okay, I'm gonna, oops, why do I keep coming here? Okay, I'm going to completely change the focus of the sentence. Instead of writing, we wrote poems as we sat by the beach, which 90% of you did. This is not writing in your own words as much as possible. This is copying. See, this whole part is copied, alright? So I'm going to change it entirely. Instead of using the subject we, I'm going to write, my teacher gave us a special task of writing a poem by the beach. You see, now I changed the whole focus of my sentence. Now my subject is my teacher, my verb is gave. So instead of saying we wrote a poem, I change it to my teacher gave us a special task. Now I'm addressing the question, I'm telling you what we did, but I have my own special way of bringing that point out. Instead of just saying we wrote the poems as we said by the beach, I give the reader a bit more context. It is a task by the students. Okay, okay. So I'm going to try to attempt to address the other parts, with the enjoyment part, where the author actually enjoyed the sound of the waves, the breeze, and watched the seagulls fly. Okay, instead of saying we enjoyed, again, I'm going to change the subject to maybe, I'm just going to say, it was an amazing experience. Okay. Okay, instead of saying enjoy, I'm going to change it to listen. It was an amazing experience listening to the sound of the waves, feeling the breeze, and watching the seagulls hover above our heads. Okay, this is how I'm going to write it. Okay, so try again. Oops, come back here. Okay, it was an amazing experience listening to the sound of the waves, feeling the breeze. I'm listing here. Okay, and feeling the breeze with seagulls hovering above our heads. Okay, so what have I done here? I joined these two events together, listening to the sound wave, and now when you use the conjunction and, you make sure that the pattern is similar. Listening, okay, so with the ing verb, and also over here with the ing verb, so they have similar pattern. That's why I can combine them with the conjunction and. All right, with, and I have a adverbial here with seagulls hovering above our heads. Okay, I've gone ahead and included all the other activities that the group did at Lisbon, okay, the monastery, okay, the roadside cafes, and the local restaurant. All right, I'm going to show you quickly how I use my own words. Okay, now a very simple tip that you can remember is to just change the subject. Now, if I were to, this is taken from the stimulus. Now, if I were to use we visited many places of interest, that would be exactly the same sentence that was given to me. All right, so that wouldn't be using my own words as much as possible. So one quick way to change is to just change the subject. So instead of saying we, using we as the subject, I change it to the places of interest that we visited. That would be my subject. Include my verb, include what, okay, which is the tomb of a famous sailor. Now you realize that I left out the details that is a heritage site and is that it's built in 1502. I feel that Tina, the person that I'm writing to, may not be very interested in it. Doesn't mean you can't write it. I just made a choice as a writer. I don't have to include everything that I write in my diary. Think about it, think real life in reality. Will you do that? I mean, you probably won't include everything that you took down in your diary for your letter to your friend. You probably want to leave out certain details that you think your friend will not be interested in. Okay, then I combine the third bullet. Okay, the third bullet, I'm going to show you. We go back to the task. It says what you enjoyed most and why. Okay, what you enjoyed most and why. So I combine it with this point about the Lisbon street life. Okay, the next part of the trip was my favorite. Okay, so I tell my examiner that I'm going to talk about my favorite part now. Okay, we sat at roadside cafes and simply watched the people go about their daily life. While people watching, we had Portuguese egg tarts and other traditional cakes that tasted absolutely fantastic. Now you realize that the task also asked you to explain why. So very quickly, I'm just going to say why I like this part. Okay. Okay, I can say this was the best part for me because I'm a person who loves to just sit and relax while having desserts and coffee. Okay, so I assume that the author had coffee at a cafe. I think that's pretty normal. Okay, so I explained this was the best part for me because I'm a person who loves to just sit and relax while having desserts and coffee. Okay? Yeah, so I quickly address this part before I forget, okay, so that the examiner will be able to locate my point, okay. But we're not done yet. There's still the last part about the local restaurant. Okay, so this was the original. We spent the last night. Again, the subject is we again. Now I'm going to change it. I say the last night was spent at a local restaurant. See, I completely did not use the same subject. So I avoided using the same sentence structure. And okay, I wanted to, you see, for the next sentence, I kind of used the same vocabulary, but um, I did not use delicious though. Okay, I used savoring, I changed to savored. Listening, I'm still using listening, but I completely changed the structure. Okay, so I say listening to Portuguese music, we savored some of the most famous local cuisine. So instead of saying delicious Portuguese food, I changed it to famous local cuisines. Okay, you can have a little bit of variation. Doesn't mean that the text says delicious, then you must write delicious. I mean, this is situational writing, not summary writing. So obviously, if they are delicious, they will be famous. Okay, so it's okay to do some substitution in terms of the vocabulary. Okay, so going back, so I have already included all that part except for the reason. So I'm just going to copy and paste this part into my essay. Okay, now I realize that this paragraph is getting really long, so let's see. Okay, but I guess it's okay. I'm just going to write one more paragraph. All right. How you and your schoolmates benefited from the visit. Okay. Now this question is this bullet point is asking you about um, benefits. That means what are some of the good things that you get out of this trip. Okay, so you can just say it very simply. You don't even have to say. A lot of students are just copy. We benefited from the visit. You don't even have to use the word benefit if you don't want to. Just write it in a way that is simple and clear cut. Okay. Mm, so you can say that we learned. Okay. Mm, a lot about Portuguese history. Um, okay, the history of Portugal. Okay, because of this trip. Okay, um, it was an eye opener for all of us, and our appreciation for different cultures was developed. Okay, or okay, maybe I'm just gonna change it. Or we developed, okay, a deeper appreciation for other cultures. Okay, so very quickly in 2 sentences, I already explained this bullet point. Why you think your friend should visit Lisbon one day? Well, maybe you can say that I really encourage you to visit Lisbon one day because there are many interesting things to do and places to visit in this city. Okay, I know that you are okay, I know that you love to explore different cultures. So I am sure that you will love Lisbon. Yep, okay, I'm just going to keep it simple. And we're just going to end off my letter by a simple, hope you reply soon kind of thing. Okay, I don't encourage you to write hope that you reply soon. Okay, I think it's better to play it safer. Okay, because you never know who's the one marking your paper. It's better to just write I hope instead of just saying hope. Okay, so for the last sentence, I would say I hope you have enjoyed reading my letter. If you intend to visit Lisbon, feel free to ask me for the itinerary. Okay, itinerary, the list of places to visit. All right. Okay, can end off with a friendly thing, a friendly sentence like say, let's meet up soon. Okay, right. And you sign off, a friendly sign off. Okay, your friend. Okay, and then you just write your name. Okay, say your name is Mary. You just sign off as your friend Mary. Okay, that's all. Okay, so I've completed the letter. All right. A couple of things that you need to take note of. Number one, Okay, do not copy everything. Okay, rephrase as much as possible. Okay, especially the second paragraph, in which you need to talk about what the group did in the city. Okay, try to say the same thing but in a different way with a different emphasis in your own unique style. Okay, one of the easiest ways to completely change the sentence is to change the subject. The moment you change the subject, you change something fundamental about the sentence. As okay, so you it'll be easy, okay, to think about. I mean, it will be easy to completely transform the sentence if you just change the subject. You realize that everything else will follow. All right. So there's a recap. For example, over here, instead of using back the subject of we, I change it to the places of interest, and that completely changed my sentence. It looks so different, even though it's about the same terms of content, but the style is different. Okay. Similar here and here. Instead of saying we, I write the last night was spent. Okay, so change it to passive voice. Completely change the style and the tone. I mean, not the tone, but change the sound of it. All right, and and it will be obvious to the person, to the teacher marking my work, that I have used my own words as far as possible. Okay, so that's all for this video. All right, I will put this document, okay, on the blog, so you can download and compare it with your own work and think about how you can improve your own situational writing. Okay, so that's all.